Hello, my name is Brandon Stover. Today we're going to discuss 6 alternatives to doing paid sponsorships that you could use to monetize your podcast content. These will include affiliate marketing, premium content, premium podcasts, crowdfunding, coaching or consulting, and speaking gigs. And many podcasters beat themselves up because they find themselves not having a large enough audience in the beginning to run sponsorships. Most major companies are going to require an industry standard of 10,000 podcast downloads before considering a direct sponsorship of your show. But that doesn't mean you need to worry. Before you get too intimidated, know that some of the best received podcasts do not pull those numbers and still see success, even generating respectable amounts of money for themselves. Which is why I want to give you some tips about monetizing through alternative options. We're going to be talking all about monetizing with affiliates. With this model, you will be promoting someone else's product or service, but they won't be paying for you speaking about their offer. Instead, they will pay you for referring leads or customers to them. This is what is referred to as affiliate marketing. As it relates to podcasting, you as the podcast host will want to promote offers that strongly relate to the subject matter of your podcast. Basically, in affiliate marketing, you find a product you like, promote it to others, and earn a piece of the profit for each sale that you make. In essence, you're generating an income by sharing, recommending, and promoting another company's or person's product or service. So every time you help that company generate a sale, you get a cut of that sale. But the best part is you don't have to create your own product because someone else has already done that hard work for you. You don't have to invest the time and effort into create something to sell. You can begin making money as an affiliate as soon as you have a platform to sell products. All you have to do is send your audience, your podcast traffic through a link to that product, and everything after that is out of your hands. We're going to talk about premium podcasts and premium content. Premium content in the podcasting world is an extra episode that isn't available on your normal podcast feed. Now, as you know, podcasting is generally considered a free of charge medium. You just jump on Apple Podcasts or Google Play, and you subscribe to any one of the thousands of shows that all are for free. That's what we're used to, and that's how you build your own squad of fanatical fans. But once you have that squad, once you have those people that love what you do, then they're often clamoring for more of the same thing from you. If you're a weekly show, then once a week may not be enough for them, and they want to know more. They want to hear more content. So how do we start delivering more to them and monetizing that? Well, my first point is give away the bulk of your content for free. Once your biggest fans start asking for more, you can actually start creating premium content as bonuses and extras and charge a small monthly fee for those. Now, some common premium content includes things like behind the scene extras, early access to episodes, ad-free episodes, live Q&A sessions, back catalogs of episodes, bonus interviews, and exclusive communities. A few examples of these are Ben and Aaron, the co-hosts of Mysterious Universe, that make a substantial profit from their premium content program called Mysterious Universe Plus, where they charge $9 a month for some extra content with no ads. Another example is the Infusioncast podcast, which teaches people how to optimize Infusionsoft so that the application and their website run really well together. And their free content often puts listeners right on the verge of being able to master Infusionsoft. But once they're hooked on the free podcast episodes, they're more than willing to pay to join their subscriber community and Infusioncast confidential Facebook group. So what the podcast does is answer the what and why of Infusionsoft, but the premium content answers the how to do it. Now, I wanted to make a note about premium podcasts. Some of the podcast directory and platforms have now started allowing you to publish a podcast feed where people can subscribe to that feed for a subscription price. So both Apple Podcasts and Spotify, the most dominant players within the podcasting space, are allowing you to create paid subscriptions for your podcast. And this gives you a way to start monetizing your podcast with your fan base if they're really into the show and you want to have listeners pay directly. Some things that you could be offering for this paid feed is ad-free listening, additional episodes, early access to different episodes, or maybe an archive of really old episodes. Then we're going to talk about crowdsourcing sponsorship. Now, do you have a loyal and passionate fan base? Then they just might be your ticket to earning some cash through crowdfunding and donations. So places like Patreon and GoFundMe offer membership services for one-off or reoccurring payments to support podcasters. All you do is you set the amount you want to receive for each donation. Now, if you don't offer some incentive, then subscribers aren't going to hand over their hard-earned money. So make your followers feel exclusive by offering a premium service like mentoring or sending out some sort of free merchandise for every one of their donations that they make. Even with just $1 per month, every contribution helps raise funds for your podcast and lets followers support your shows. Now, with anything, there are potential downsides to crowdsourcing and donations. As with advertising, you generally have to have a fairly large audience to attract a substantial number of contributions. Additionally, until you really build up some momentum, the amount of revenue you can count on through this approach is pretty unpredictable. Still, for many of other podcasts, crowdsourcing and donations simply have that right feel to them because they know that their podcast listeners are very loyal, they're passionate, and they want to support this artist and content creator. And if those are your people, then crowdsourcing and donations may be the right way to go for you. Now, let's talk about coaching and consulting and services. Now, if you have a marketable skill that solves the pain points of your podcast listeners, then by all means promote it on your podcast. And one of the very first things that you could be promoting is if you're a coach or a consultant and you offer that as a service to people. Because hardcore podcast fans may want a little more of a personal touch than the free value that you're giving on your podcast. And they're often willing to pay for it. Every week you are sharing tips and strategies and ideas of how to solve your audience's pain points, and you're giving all that away for free as added value to your audience. But sometimes one of those things is going to really resonate with your audience, and they're going to want to dig a little deeper. They're going to want to receive the type of coaching that you're talking about. They're going to want to get help on their marketing if you are a marketing consultant, whatever it is that it may be, because you've built an audience and you've been nurturing them and providing value, and they have come to know, like, and trust you. You're going to be one of the first people that they reach out to in order to solve the pain points that you talk about on your podcast, because they see you as the authority on this thing. Now, we're going to talk about how you can monetize your podcast by doing public speaking gigs. So podcasting should really be a natural segue into public speaking for most podcasters. I mean, we're getting on here every single week. We are telling our ideas and our stories, and doing public speaking is just a natural extension of doing that. Now, while it's not as comfortable as recording in your underwear at home behind a desk, there's a lot of authority and recognition to be gained from speaking gigs. Now, there are 4 types of speaking gigs that we're going to go over. The first one is unpaid speaking gigs. So as your podcast grows in popularity, it won't be long before you're going to be approached with speaking opportunities. But these very first ones are often unpaid. And you might as well start accepting these unpaid gigs because it's free exposure and it's an excellent opportunity to build your audience. It also allows you to get some practice in before you start going to some of the bigger speaking opportunities. Which brings us to our second type of speaking gigs, which are paid speaking opportunities. And these are things at conferences or live events that can pay anywhere from a few $100s to tens of thousands of dollars. Now, as a general rule of thumb, here's how much the average speaker makes. So very new people often are getting the unpaid ones. People that have done a few talks but are still newbies, they're going to get anywhere from $500 to $2,500 for speaking. Beginners or those establishing a new brand, or maybe just have one book that they published, they might get anywhere between $5,000 and $10,000. If you have several books or any other significant social proof behind your brand, you might get $10,000 to $20,000 for your speaking gig. And if you're actually a best-selling author or a really well-known personal brand or industry leader, you might get anywhere between $20,000 and $35,000 a speaking gig. It all really depends on how polished you are, how well established, and most importantly, how much value you're going to offer to their audience. The third type of speaking gig is actually a sales speaking gig. So even better than getting paid a set amount per speech that you give, there's an opportunity to actually sell while you're giving your talk. So if you have a high-end product, you can make a killing at doing live speaking events. An example of this is ClickFunnels founder Russell Brunson once did over $3 million in selling his product during his talk in only 90 minutes. Now, there is a catch to this. Most of the events where you're going to be doing a sales speaking gig, the host usually takes a sizable cut out of it, which is oftentimes 50%. But speaking opportunities like these are still well worth pursuing. The last type of speaking gig that you can do is actually online and not even in a physical location. And you can do things like virtual summits and webinars. So virtual summits are, a grouping of a ton of industry leaders all doing an online event together. Some of the benefits of doing this is it allows you to grow an email list. You can build authority and you can network with other industry leaders. And because you are doing this virtually online, it's really easy to point people to your podcast. So you're going to get the opportunity to pull some of the other speakers' listeners to your own audience. Today, we talked about some different ways that you could start monetizing. So your activity today is just to explore some different options within this space.